What's going on, guys? BigJerr back with you again. Today, I want to talk about this new plugin by Soundspot called Ravage. It's a distortion plugin, but unlike other distortion plugins, this one's got a couple of really unique options. So, I'll take a second to go through the GUI with you, and then I'll show you guys my favorite aspects of it. Alright, let's get into it. Alright guys, so in this lesson we'll be going over Soundspot's new plugin, Ravage. There's already a lot of really good videos showing you exactly how to use this plugin, so I'll link them in the description and I won't repeat that information. But we will quickly go through the GUI so we all know what we're looking at. And then I'm going to give you guys a really cool example of how you could take a simple 808 and make it huge using Ravage. I'm going to show you guys a really cool technique known as splitting the frequencies. I'm going to use a rack to take advantage of splitting these frequencies, and I'm going to make that rack available to you guys down in the description, so you could follow along with me with Ravage or your favorite distortion or overdrive plugin. Alright, let's do it. Alright guys, so what are we looking at here? Well, on the top, we've got really a pan display, but not only a pan display, we've got volume and frequency as well. Okay, I'm gonna show you guys what that means as we work through it. Right below that, we've got 6 different distortion types. Under that, we've got our input, we've got our output, okay, we've got our high and low pass, and these can be linked. And right in the middle, we've got our drive knob. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, we've got a destroy fader, and that will actually add distortion on distortion for some pretty wacky sounds. And then to the right, we've got a bright and dark knob, okay, and this is just gonna be like a tone knob. And that's pretty much it for the distortion page. And then over on the movement page, we can actually add lanes for modulation. And right in the middle, there's a drop-down menu, and this tells you what things can be modulated. It's actually a very flexible modulation system, making it easy to add movement and life to your sound. Finally, up in the top, there is a shape selector if you want to use a canned shape and then start editing that. And there's a preset menu at the top where you could use presets that are already made, or you could save your own presets. Remember guys, I know we went quickly through this, but this isn't about showing you exactly how to use the plugin. There's already a lot of really good resources for that, which I will link in the description. What I want to do right now is show you a really cool way that I like to use it. Alright guys, that was taken from my Chainsmokers remix of Everybody Hates Me. I'll leave a link down in the description for a free download of the full track if anybody's interested. So, you'll notice that I have a rack system down here, and I am splitting the frequencies. I'm going to go ahead and explain this to you in just a moment, but let's take a listen to what this sounds like before and after Ravage. So I'll solo my sub, and I'll go down here and turn off or mute my top layer. Okay, and this is what it sounded like before Ravage. And you'll notice that in the middle here, that this is where it's being distorted. So this high and low pass filter is going to say where the distortion is happening. So you can see that I've rolled it up to 103 Hertz, and on the top end, I've rolled it down to 4.5. So when I press play, notice the circle is actually filling in just that spot. If I were to open this up, you'd see that it would go higher. But we'll leave where it was for now. So I've chosen tube distortion here. Let's hear what this sounds like. I know we were looking before, but now let's actually hear what it sounds like. So now you can see visibly where I'll be distorting as I add it in. Here we go. This is a pretty gnarly distortion. And the best part about using the split frequency thing is that notice that my low end didn't suffer at all. I still had that nice thick round sub, but I was able to add this nice fuzz on the top. And this really helps it cut through laptop speakers or headphones or just in general in the mix. Also, before I jump into the split frequency, I want to show you over on the movement side that I am using a little bit of modulation on the destroy to get just a little more movement on my distortion. And I have it starting actually at a high point and then coming out. So you hear the most amount of distortion at the beginning and then it pulls down. I just thought that was a cool little effect, no big deal. And you can actually do a whole lot more inside of here, but for this particular example, I just wanted to fuzz out my top. So, split frequency. So what is happening in this rack down here? All right, let's take a look. But before we jump into it, let me encourage you to subscribe and hit the little bell, where you'll get notified every time I have a new video come up. As an Ableton certified trainer, I talk about everything from sound design to pro tips to plugins you need to have. Plus, I make bass music under the name Scarlett, so stay connected. So on the bottom, right, a sub technically is just from 30 hertz-ish to 100 hertz-ish. And this is what a sub is, okay? And you really just want to have the nice, purest, roundest sub. So you don't want to usually add too much distortion or saturation to your sub frequencies. So how do you get those really big trap or hip-hop subs? Well, you have to actually split the frequency. And you could do this in 2 separate tracks, or Ableton makes it super easy with racks to do it in 1 track. This is actually a technique known as pinning the sub. The reason I pin it is because you know that with different notes on a sub, you actually get extremely different volumes sometimes. So this will pin the sub, in other words, keeping the volume consistent no matter what note is played. And it doesn't really matter because there's not a lot of dynamic range in my sub, from 30 to 100. And I just pinned it, that's all I did down here on the bottom. But now let's talk about the top part of my sub. On the top part, I actually started over here where my sub cut off, and I went above, you know, a little bit to get that fuzz up in here. And then I did a bit of notching because I didn't really like that frequency. Remember guys, whenever you're using distortion or saturation, you want to put that before your EQ because it does add frequencies, right? So if you were to put it after your EQ, then, well, your EQ is kind of pointless, right? Great. Finally, I've got a utility keeping everything from 150 and below mono. That's what the bass mono button does. And I've lightly limited all these guys together to keep a nice consistent sub sound. I will be letting you guys download this rack, so if you have Ravage and you want to work along with me, sweet. Or if you want to add any kind of saturator in here or any kind of distortion, it will add that same effect for you. Now, Ravage does give you a lot of other options that a saturator would not, and that's why I kind of really like this plugin, but you know, you could do whatever you like, and splitting the frequencies is pretty powerful no matter what plugin you use. Alright guys, that about wraps it up for Ravage. If you found this useful or interesting, please consider subscribing to my channel by hitting that like button and the subscribe button. Other than that, I'll catch you guys next time. See ya. We know how to turn it up. Get your ass up. We know how to